Welcome to Sisters Place Inspiration and Entertainment Show interviews with authors, celebs, and much more with hostesses Latrice Carter and Selena Haskins.
All right. Welcome back to Sisters Place podcast. Tonight's author spotlight, I have joining me Sheryl Pfister. Sheryl, welcome to Sisters Place podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you.
Oh, absolutely. Likewise. I'm excited to have you on the show. So why don't you tell our listeners a little about who Sheryl Pfister is?
I am a California born and bred, so I'm Cali girl through and through. In a past life, I was a pediatric occupational therapist. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandma, all that, and an author. So, and I like to, bake, play around in the kitchen, experiment, guinea pig my family with recipes. And according to readers that come to events, I make the best brownies ever. So that's me.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, we are very happy to have you on the show so that our listeners and readers can get to know you. So tell us, how long have you been writing?
Actually, I started writing, I think, all the way back until I was in early teens, but it wasn't until like 2012 that I actually wrote my first novel when I was laying flat on my back after back surgery. So okay, you had to kill some time, so why not? I did,
why not birth that first book?
Yeah, I think what happened was, because it's been putting it off, saying I want to write for so many years, and my mom had passed away, and I think it was 2010 when I wrote the first book, because she passed away in 2009, and she had always been telling me, write the book. And so I decided, you really need to do that. And then, you know how you start writing some things and then you put it away after your vacation and you never see it again. Well, I had to dig out that backpack a year later when I had back surgery now, and that notebook where I had started a story was in there. And I was like, this is really, you need to finish. You need to just write. And so while I had all this nice time laying on my back, I kept dreaming every night of scenes. And it was like, okay, I get it. Finish the book. It took me 3 weeks to finish the book. That book will probably never see the light of day. But what it did was unlock, all of the fears, all of everything that says, okay, you can actually finish a book. And then I just kept writing. So
that's good. Good.
Yeah.
We always need something to motivate us to get us to actually write that first one, that very first one.
Exactly. And that was it. Dreaming and laying on the back with nothing to do.
Well, you found something to do. There you go.
I did.
Absolutely. So being a wife, a mom, and a writer, how do you find time to balance all of those hats and still find time just for you?
Well, it helps that all of my children are adults. My girls are all grown people. One is married, and my two, my middle one and my younger one are here. My middle one works, she's at home now. She's working from home because everybody's home now. And my youngest is in her 4th year of college. So I have old people at the house, so that's not a problem. But I think my being able to carve out time for myself started actually when they were younger, because I didn't always do that. And my husband was the one who encouraged me, because I was always home with the kids, always doing the running. He says, you need to go and take yourself to lunch and just don't come back for 2 hours. I'm like, I can't do that. You can't just go to a restaurant and eat by yourself. He said, sure you can. You like reading, take a book, don't come back. And the first time I did it, I felt kind of awkward. And then it was like, wait, okay, I like this. Wait a minute, I like this. So I've just kept up that practice, even though, everybody's grown, I still will take myself to lunch. Although now I'm usually call him and be like, hey, what you doing? Want to go to lunch? But I still take my time for me, because it's important. And I've learned that self-care, I can't take care of everybody else if I don't take care of me too.
Absolutely. That is very important. So this past September, you released your latest, Do Me, part of the Irresistible Husband series. How did this story come to you?
Well, initially, the whole series came about from a conversation with myself and Sharon Cooper. And I guess, you know, how readers are always talking about, you know, which authors you think should write together kind of thing. And someone mentioned her and I together. And it just so happened, I think a couple of years ago, maybe 2, 3 years ago, that both of us had released stories within, you know, a couple months of each other with older characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought about, hey, you know, readers are always asking me, what do we write about a series about some guys who were, you know, pushing 40 and, you know, and there's a group of friends and they do that. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's bring in one more person. And so that we added Delaney Diamond to the mix. So it was a blast working with those ladies. And so that's how the series came about. But and my hero came about from that. But my actual heroine in the story, who was a clinical psychologist, came from a conversation with my neurosurgeon, you know, the whole back surgery thing. Yeah. So
wow.
My neurosurgeon, I had to go in for one of the epidural, an injection in my hip for my leg. So, and he said, you know, you're still writing, right? And I was like, yeah. He says, well, I have a plot for you. I was like, really? And my husband's sitting there at the time. This is pre-COVID. He's sitting there in the back, and he's like, no, don't give her another one. Don't give her another one. And he gave me, you know, a plot for my heroine. He asked about an issue to talk about, which I'm not going to give away because you got to read the book to find out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But he gave me the issue which is a huge issue that doesn't get talked about a lot. And so I was like, ooh, that's great. I could do that. And I was sitting there and the wheels just started turning. And then I actually had to have a follow-up with him earlier a few months ago. And he said, you're still going to write that book? I said, absolutely. It's coming out September. And so I need us to have this conversation. You said you were going to give me some pointers. So he was very, very helpful in sharing his expertise, you know, because I think his wife actually works in the area. So it was very cool conversation.
Okay, that's nice. That's very nice. So without giving too much away, what is Do Me about? Like, give us a little, just a little preview.
Okay, so as I said, my hero, Braxton Harper, he's pushing 40, but he's holding out for that perfect wife. You know, his family, his friends tease him. They call him picky. He prefers to call it selective. Doesn't think he needs to waste his time going through, you know, women after woman after woman after woman if he's just waiting for this perfect one. And the moment he meets London Grant, who is the heroine, he thinks that he's found that perfect woman. Of course, she has, you know, some issues with the whole getting close, but he's in full pursuit. And let's just say that it's going to take a little bit of therapeutic intervention in and out of the bedroom to get them both on the same page.
Okay. So is there a favorite character that you love?
See, and this is just like asking, which is your favorite kid? I don't know why. I was like, please don't ask that. So I'm gonna actually cheat a little bit on this question and just say that my favorite characters are my heroes in all of my book. And that's because they all have pieces of my real life hero, my husband.
Oh,
so
that is so beautiful.
Yeah, so I think those are my favorite ones to write because they love their women and they go hard for them, just like my husband does for me. And so if you read any of my books, some of those gestures that those heroes are doing for their women are things that my husband's done for me.
Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness, I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. So who are some of your literary influencers and why? And if you have at least 3 to name.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them, but my top 3 would have to be Beverly Jenkins, Brenda Jackson, and Farrah Rashan. Brenda and Beverly, you know, because they basically kicked the doors down, you know, along with, you know, several other of those authors who broke the barrier for me to be able to do what I do now, to be able to, you know, walk through this without as much problem and struggle that they had. You know, we still have the struggles, but they made it possible. But the 3 of them, Miss Brenda, Miss Beverly, and Miss Farrah, when I was first starting out, those ladies took time to share with this little newbie author and, you know, give me lots of wisdom. They didn't say, oh, I can't help you. You know, you have to pay for my time. You have to do all that. But they generously shared of their time and answered every little question that I had more than once. So those ladies they forever have a spot in my heart.
Oh, you know what? And those two, they're my top two as well.
Yeah.
In my list, I'm looking at my bookshelf and I'm like, Beverly Jenkins, Beverly Jenkins, Beverly Jenkins,
Right,
Beverly Jenkins, Beverly Jenkins.
No, it does. They do. And it is so amazing that they are so selfless in wanting to pass this along to the next generation. And if I could be half the writers and half the women that they are in this industry and giving back, then that is my goal, is to do like they do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And not hoard the information like, oh,
Right.
I'm not going to tell nobody.
Right,
I love that.
Yeah. So, and Farrah, I mean, she literally, we were at an event and I was like, hey, can I just ask? She goes, yeah, well, we can just sit out and talk here and talk. And I was talking to her and I was like, oh, I don't want to take your time. Oh, no, you can have all the time you want, so I appreciate them taking that time to do that with me.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's more. I have more than 3, but you said 3, so
Yeah.
just keep it there.
Hey, it's good. You good. You good there. So with that being said, if you could give advice to little black girls across America who find themselves discovering that they love to write, what would you say to them?
It's interesting that you would ask that question, because I don't want them to have the same experience that I had. So I'm going to share a little tidbit. When I was 12, 7th grade, my first short story that I wrote for, that English class, when you had to write a story and turn it into a creative story and turn it in.
Mm-hmm.
I was so proud of my story, and I knew I had done a good job. I let my mom read it. She was a writer too, and a reader. And she was proud of my story, and I just knew I was going to get an A. And when I got that paper back, she had a big red F on it, circled, and a see me, and with her little face, see me after class. And, I'm freaking out thinking, what are you talking about? This was a good story. She thought that I had plagiarized it.
What?
Because she told me that no 7th grader can write a story like this. Because I guess, when we're younger, how we always start our stories, once upon a time, one day, I actually started, I still remember the start of that story. And I'm going to tell you, it just started, the sun was setting in a fiery red sky when Marcus made his way home. His silhouette cast a long shadow on the sidewalk. His hands were shoved deep in his pockets. That's how I started my story.
Oh, wow.
So she didn't think a 7th grader could write that story. So to little Black girls everywhere, I want to tell them, yes, you can absolutely write that story, because you are smart. You are creative, and you can do whatever you set your mind to do. And don't let anybody tell you different. You just keep writing that story.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. That is beautiful advice. And that teacher, man, she should be, oh my goodness. You might want to go back and find her and be look.
It is funny. It is funny because over the years, I've reconnected with some of my friends, from junior high on Facebook. And one of my friends, she was my best friend at that time in junior high. And she says, ooh, I wonder what she would say now if she saw you. She actually said that to me. So yeah. It is a little bit of vindication, for lack of a better term,
Mm-hmm. You know what I find is that teachers have to be very careful who they degrade and how they degrade, because it has a big impact on that little, that little person who's still growing, growing, still discovering who they are.
Mm-hmm. Words are powerful, and your words can either heal, hurt, break someone, and or uplift them. And we need to be uplifting in our speaking at all times.
Absolutely. And also with new authors or those who want to become an author, what advice can you give to them as being an experienced author like yourself?
Oh, I'm not that experienced. I still have a long way to go. We only 6 years in, so I still
But that
consider
look,
myself
but
a
that's
baby.
6 years. But that's 6 years. 6 years. Some folks don't have.
I know, and I'm going to tell them what I've learned over the 6 years. And the first thing is to read, and read more in the genre you want to write in.
Absolutely.
So you can't. You need to know what's out there. What does it look like? Read, and read. Because I hear authors say that they don't have time, they don't read. No, you need to read. If you don't read, you can't really write it. So you need to get out there and read.
Mm-hmm. I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
I hear that a lot.
I do too.
Especially from a lot of the veteran writers, and some of the classes that I've attended, they always say, you need to read. You have to. You have to. The other things, I have 3 more. The other thing, connect with other authors and join some writing groups. Yes.
Study the craft of writing because you want to put your best work out. You need to know what is a lagging plot, what is a sagging middle, what is a POV change. You need to know all of those things in order to get that book out so it can sound and put your best work out. And the last thing is to make writing a priority because there will never be a perfect time to do it.
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this year, 2020, man, it didn't kick off right.
At all. And it's still not kicked off right.
I know, right? So how have you and your family coped with COVID-19? Did you learn anything about yourself during our stay-at-home time? And many folks are still staying at home, like myself.
Yeah, and like my whole family is here. Like everybody is here because I used to love and enjoy because it was like nobody was home in the day but me. Husband's at work, baby girl's at away at college in the dorm, and the middle one, she's working full time, so no one's home. Now all of these people have invaded my workspace, so I think it's probably been more distracting for me than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think for the first few months, you feel restless and you can't really find your writing groove. And then, I've had some other issues too, health-wise, that have just messed with my creativity. So, like I said, I'm learning too that, okay, I have to grant myself those times that I need to, and it's okay that I can't be productive today. Okay. That I can still pick it up and go, to give myself some grace because I'm probably harder on myself than anybody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one question that's not on here is, I just thought of it while you were talking. How do you prepare when you're getting ready to sit down and write your story? What's your process?
I usually have to have my water cup, my 20-ounce water cup needs to be filled, ice water filled. I will most times will either be on the bed because of my back, or I come and sit downstairs at my desk, and with me and my laptop, I queue up my playlist, put in my earbuds, and then I'm ready to go. Most times I have to listen to instrumental. I listen to jazz, and I need to do it instrumental because if I throw on my R&B, I find myself singing more than writing, or next thing I know, one of the songs I'm listening to finds its way into the book. So that's that process. And then I try to just set aside a block and say, okay, I'm going to just write for the next hour, whether it's, I get 5 pages done, 2 paragraphs done, I'm going to sit here for an hour and do it and then break. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. How can our audience connect with you and learn more about you?
You can find me on my website at SherylLister.com. It's SherylLister.com, or on Facebook, author Sheryl Lister. I actually have a readers group on there. It's called Sheryl's Sweet Spot. Just know that if you want to get into the group, there are 2 questions. You have to answer them in order to be approved because we're all about romance. So you can't have trolls.
That's right.
On Twitter, it is 1SLynne, LYNNE. And on Instagram, it's just Sheryl Lister.
Okay, great. So tell our audience what's next for Sheryl Lister.
Well, if 2020 plays nice for just at least a few minutes, I will be finishing and releasing book 2 in my Sassy Season sister series, and it's called Love's Sweet Surrender. So look for that.
Okay.
And then I have a couple other secret things that might be coming along that you got to just stay tuned for.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. We appreciate you. We'll drop your link to your website in the podcast group. And everyone, please go out, check out author Sheryl Lister and pick up her book. Don't be shy. You love romance. Get up.
Yes, please do. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Latrice. I appreciate you.
Oh, you are so welcome. Have a beautiful evening. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy.
You do the same.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Be sure to subscribe to Latrice's YouTube channel, Sista's Place, and follow her on all social media.